So my message about all the snacks and, in the detox diet book is be in proper relationship with all these things. Be able to take a break. When I interview somebody, when I started talking about my questionnaire, when I interview someone.
So welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. I'm very excited to have everybody here because this is the first in my new series called In Conversations About. And I'm Sandy Kleiman, and I am the founder of Healthy Culinary Coach, and I work with patients and clients, not patients, you work with patients, I work with clients. And I teach people how to eat healthy. And what I like to do is take what your doctor tells you to do and translate that onto the plate so you know what to do when you get home. And that's what the food you've experienced tonight is about. So I wanted to say that one of my favorite quotes is by Wendell Berry, and he says that people are fed by the food industry, which pays no attention to health, and they're treated by the health industry, which pays no attention to food. Well, my guest behaves differently. Dr. Elson Haas, he's been practicing for 40 years, and he's really experienced in patient care. And he's very interested in natural medicine, detoxification, and healthy lifestyles. And for the past 30 years, he's been instrumental in the development and practice of an integrative medicine practice, Preventative Medical Center of Marin, which he founded in 1984, and he is the medical director of. He's also the author of 11 books, right? And he... It was 11, right? And he's perfecting the model of healthcare that utilizes sophisticated Western and integrative diagnostics in a family practice. And he's one of the few doctors that actually takes insurance because he believes that healthcare, and healthcare in the truest sense, is for everybody. So it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Elson Haas.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I have to ask you, you graduated from the University of Michigan Medical School, which is a pretty standard medical school. How did you get into this?
Well, realize I was in medical school from 1968 to 72. So I say, as Bob Dylan said, the times were a-changing. So I was changing, the class of 68 came in, all these, they had accepted all these nice clean-cut sorority and fraternity guys and girls. It was the first class, there was actually more than 10% women in the class. And a bunch of freaks showed up in September of 68. So my hair was long and I had a beard, and I immediately started feeling like I want to, healthcare, I was kind of against a bit of the authoritarian, patriarchal model. I was much into talking to people about their lives. And even in medical school, I started to see that people's lives and the way they lived were intertwined with the problems they had. So when people had a lot of trauma and drama, for example, they had a lot more health issues. When people took care of themselves and all that, they seemed to do better. My mentors said, why are you spending so much time talking to people at 11 o'clock at night about their life? And I said, well, to me, that's what I'm guided to do. So, and I still feel that. I think, one of the mottos I have at my clinic is lifestyle first, natural therapies next, drugs last. Mm-hmm. So, but, a lot of people want drugs. I still write a lot of prescriptions.
Right, they want the drugs because they want a quick fix.
Well, that and insurance will pay for drugs a lot, or Medicare will pay for drugs, and they won't pay for a whole supplement program. Right. So that's, it's a downside of our system. That's what I've been really writing about, how healthcare can be new and delivered better and have it really be healthcare, which, means to me, people need to start taking more responsibility for their health, and the doctors in their practices need to start being more educators. The term doctor comes from the Latin docere, which means teacher. And so I want to bring that back. I think that's really important. And it doesn't mean the physician, himself or herself is going to be the educator there, but at least somebody on the staff needs to be training people about changing their diet, elimination, allergy diets, exercise programs, stress management, all those different factors that contribute to health.
So what do you teach your patients about food?
Well, it's similar to what I teach kids when I go into schools, and I've written things for that, is learn the difference between food and treats. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you start with foods. I kind of encourage people to eat 50% veggies. That's the focus, and good quality proteins, whatever fits into your realm. And then add a little carbs and fruit and other things as you deem it. But if you're someone trying to trim down, then you want to focus on vegetables and protein. And there's a lot of different diets out there. I mean, from paleo, and I saw you mentioned a book called The Paleo Vegan.
Paleo-Vedic diet,
Paleo-Vedic,
which is our next speaker.
Oh yeah, okay, cool. No, wait, I got a plug in for you. So, and and the closer you eat to the garden, that's what I wrote in Staying Healthy with the Seasons. The closer you eat to the gardens and orchards, the more vitality, enzymes, and energy you'll get from food.
So do you think that eating seasonally is really critical? We live in a time when we can get cherries in January and mm-hmm. corn in December. So what do you think about that?
Well, I think that was my original message. That's Staying Healthy with the Seasons. And I've had doctors, functional medicine integrative doctors around the country, when they still tell me that that seasonal message is still the simplest and most important message we have. I mean, just to really connect with the cycles, and pay attention. And we have less dramatic seasons here, but we still have the light and dark cycle, and where we pull in, and we need warmer food in the winter, we need cooler food in the summer. I think it's still an essential part of natural and Eastern, not Western medicine doesn't really address nutrition too much, but
right. So when you look at food, how do you feel about, or what do you think about food toxins? We hear so much about that now, that processed foods are toxic. What do you tell patients that are used to eating those kinds of foods?
Well, I gave you a couple images from my new book that just came out today, actually. It's just posted on Amazon today.
Okay.
You have this sheet here. This is, there's a whole chapter that describes all the aspects of this. But what you have is the outcomes. Western medicine really treats from the outside in, takes all these end result issues. But in the center of that circle, you have the cell. And then you have the two aspects to me of how cells get out of balance. Deficiency, not getting all the nutrients you need, and toxicity and toxins are really things that your body doesn't know how to handle well, or it's an excess of things that may stress it if there's too much of it. But I often say the chemicals and metals that get into our air, food, and water, and that we put on our bodies and our skin and our hair and things like that, those are things that our body has to handle. They're not natural to the body. So that's where a lot of drugs, are toxins. Maybe bioidentical, hormones or aging are less so, because your body knows how to incorporate them. So if you think of a toxin as something your body doesn't really know how to deal with, and it has to process in some way, it has to break it down, it has to denature it, put it through the liver for detoxification and all that. So, yes, we want to limit our toxins, and luckily our bodies know how to handle toxins. We detoxify every one of our cells. The cell is like a whole body. It takes in oxygen, puts out carbon dioxide, takes in nutrients, does many, thousands of functions, and puts out, things that, the waste products. So a cell is just a microcosm of our whole body. Mm-hmm. And when we nourish the cells with all the vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, phytonutrients from all the plants, and we avoid, a lot of the toxins, our body has a chance to catch up. I just did an interview this morning for Women's World magazine. They're featuring a detox diet, and I just did a juice cleanse at my office, my 40th annual. And I have this one woman who's like, really was excited about it, dropped 20 pounds, and so they're going to feature and interview her, for the article. And it was a lot of questions about, what are the toxins, how do we change, how do we make the changes,
So tell us more about when you do a detox, what does that look like? You do this annually, I think?
I do, the last maybe 20 years, I do 3 a year. I do a January kind of clean up, get ready for the new year kind of program. I do a spring cleanse, which is the January and the September one, which is kind of autumn, kind of get ready to get back into the, the new, the end of the year. Those are usually 3-week habit changes, detoxes. Not, some people fast during those times, but I have people do the detox diet. That other handout you have has an intro discussion of why detox is important, what it does, and on the back side is a 3-week or 2-3-week simple alkaline, vegetable focus.
So they're eating food. They're eating foods.
Yes.
It's not a juice.
Most of the detox programs are eating 3 meals a day. They're chewing their food well. How many of you chew your food really well? A few people. And they get away from what I call the snacks. SNACC, sugar, nicotine, alcohol, caffeine, chemicals.
And how?
So
and they stay off. They're good about it.
Well, most people do it, because they're paying money and they're part of a group, and that group really helps them. Like if we all said, okay, we're all gonna, not do any of those snacks. And I also get people off wheat and dairy, and and I give them, they're eating, they're still eating. So, the hardest part. This is one of the questions today was this, like, how do you get people to do this kind of stuff?
Right,
You know?
right, because behavior is
How do you
harder than
motivate
anything
people?
else.
I realized when I first became a doctor, I said, if I can really inspire people to take care of themselves and make changes, then I'm doing, to me, the highest art of medicine, which is really to be a guide. It's, a lot when I was writing Staying Healthy with the Seasons in the 70s, I was studying a lot of ancient, all the old Chinese writing, and was reading Manly Hall and the Journey of the Sun and the Moon, and the philosopher-physician idea, and the Barefoot Doctors, which is all about guiding people, teaching them how to really live in according to the seasons. That's what Staying Healthy with the Seasons really came from. Just all these kind of the sages that I read from, and the philosophies, and the quotes, and I love doing that book because I have five different artists, and my associate at my office at home. She's just like, she went on her favorite places yesterday and today, these places that make these really high quality oils and lotions, and she said, and they both, two of the websites had Staying Healthy with the Seasons up as, said, this is one of my favorite books. It's like this, this is to look at. And I realized that the new medicine book that just came out, Staying Healthy with New Medicine, and NEW stands for Natural, Eastern, and Western, and integrating them, it's like another octave of that same first message, which is get back to nature, eat seasonally, listen to your body, ask as the seasons change, so do we. And our behaviors change a little bit, and our approaches and our exercise and our foods all change a bit with that.
So when you talk about, you mentioned you get them off of wheat and dairy. What is it about those things that people have a reaction to? Why is it that those are things that
so partly because the wheat and dairy are so infiltrated into our food system. People consume them too much, and they have certain proteins and byproducts that set off the body's immune reactions. Realize that most reactions, other than true allergy, which is an IgE reaction, where if you eat strawberries and you break out in a rash, that's pretty straightforward. But it's the IgG, these delayed reactions that your body builds up. These are memory antibodies. So when you had a vaccine, for example, you start to build up that IgG antibody, which recognizes that germ, when it comes into your body at a later point, and will say, oh, that's my partner. So what we do is we start making antibodies to foods that we consume, and particularly it's the protein components of foods that are the most allergenic. Those are antigens that cause an antibody reaction. So it's like lactalbumin.
So it's almost
is
an autoimmune response.
Well, it wouldn't be
No.
called autoimmune per se, but that means when autoimmune refers to kind of attacking parts of your body. That's how we kind of look at it. But it's things that, I mean, we make antibodies to everything that we take in, every food, every inhalant, every tree, pollen, grasses, all those things. Yeah. So it just depends how much we make of that. And these aren't immediate types of reactions. So, one of the things that I look at in my clinic, and what my false fat diet book is all about, is the level of food reactions. And we can react to foods in a variety of ways.